Good afternoon. That's a lot of information to take in, right? Yes. But please look at your packets. For those online and those watching this later, those are available. The links to all those downloads for those one-sheeters that were provided are on our website under our webinar page. So check those out. I want to say first, thank you to these folks here and everybody else who helped not only coming today, but also as we started a brand new grants program. These folks want you to succeed, and they have proven that with their help that they gave me. We, with the commission, want you guys to be successful with your projects. We love working with people, so thank you for that. We cannot fund everything. We are dealing with the people's money, so we have to be very careful with it. But we do want these projects to be successful. So both these folks and us, we love to talk to folks. Let's talk a little bit about why we want to celebrate and commemorate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. And one of the facts that a lot of people don't know is where we're over 400, actually it's over 600 if you go by Jack Parker's list, the list of battles and skirmishes and moments of bloodshed. South Carolina had more incidents than any other state except New Jersey. We do have to put a little caveat in there. But a lot of people don't know that. Boston's important, New York's important, Philadelphia's important, but what happened here was important to what happened to start this brand new country. So we're wanting to reclaim that place and that story and help South Carolina with education and cultural tourism. So a lot of people ask us, when is this anniversary? We want to put as many things in place for the July 4th, 2026. That is when the America 250, the federal commission, is really focusing on that one day, that Declaration of Independence anniversary. And we know most of the marketing will be here during that year. So we want to get as many projects in place, as many sites visitable, as Dwayne Parrish with PRT would say. So we want to make sure these sites are ready for these tourists who are coming, these natives who are going to go to these places. But we know, as historians and students of this story, that it's a whole era. A bunch of anniversaries are here. This December 2nd, we're going to have the 250th anniversary of the Charleston Tea Party that happened a week before Boston. So please come join us for a reenactment in downtown Charleston at the Exchange Building, or host one in your own county. We're excited about that coming up. But there's so many other things that happened. 1770, we had a kind of the fall down of the British government in South Carolina. It's also the Boston Massacre. And then we're going to go all the way to the treaties of Paris with talking about the story. And so that takes us from 1770 to 1783. That is very important when you go to apply for a grant. We have seen the commission really hone in that because they want to reclaim our place in this story, and they have feel like what the legislature has asked them to do is focus on that time period. Unfortunately, that means great projects that are French and Indian War, great projects that are about the starting of the new nation, don't fit. So really keep those years in mind. Most of the battles here in South Carolina during the Southern Campaign happened in 1780, 1781. So that's 2030, 2031. We've got a lot of things that happened here during that time period, and we want to make sure we've got as many assets ready for that. So how do we do that? How do we get ready for that? The commission was excited about a lot of projects. We've got a lot of things going, and they instructed me to start these 9 grant programs that we're going to talk about. So the first thing, though, is who can apply for grants. It is a big, wide list of folks. Nonprofits, governments, tribes, the list is very long. We even have some public-private partnerships in the tourism industry that are eligible under certain caveats with that. Individuals are eligible for research and publication grants. So I will say that you do have to be located in South Carolina. unless you are an individual who is doing a research or even an institution that's doing a research or publication grant specifically about the American Revolution in South Carolina. And the big thing, because we know a lot of our county groups we're spinning up, the Berkeley County 250, and all the other 45 county groups, we're almost there with having them all created. We know that a lot of y'all are all volunteer, and instead of 46 counties having to create nonprofits, we know a lot of y'all are working with your county government or another nonprofit to be your fiscal agent. So one of the first things you have to decide is who's going to manage this money for you and have a working relationship and agreement with someone. So that's the best practice, is to start about that. And that fiscal agent, because they are technically receiving that funding, will be the applicant, technically. Okay, we know that the county group's going to fill out a lot of the paperwork and knows the project backwards and forwards and will be the project director. But you still need that partner with your fiscal agent to be on this journey with you, because they are technically the applicant. All right. So we have more information about those fiscal agent responsibilities on our website. And if you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to talk more about that individually. Let's talk about these different types of grants. The first one, y'all have already received, our county organizing grant. Each county is guaranteed one of these if you are the official County 250 group. So thank you, Berkeley County government, for doing that resolution, making this group official and getting them that first grant. So we're getting about halfway with getting those all distributed across the state. These are non-competitive, but you do have to fill out the paperwork. The next one is, all the others are competitive. The next one is local museum style panel grant. So this started with just an idea of creating new space in museums that's specifically about the American Revolution in your county. We want this to be really specific. If you're not Cherokee that has cow pens in Kings Mountain, what do you talk about? Well, there are a lot of things that happened. I had no idea about Fort Fairlawn until I took this job. You know, it's wonderful to learn about all these assets that are in every county that we can educate and, again, drive tourism. So having a map, this is an example from Jasper County. They have created this map, so it's go to the museum, learn a little bit, and then go out to these tourism sites. And this is, of course, linked in to the Liberty Trail, which we'll mention in just a little bit. We want to make sure that we have inclusive stories. Jim Capers is a great example of an African-American Revolutionary War hero. But you can be traditional like this, or I have another group that's working on an interactive map that is going to be available online and in person at the museum. It doesn't have to be at a museum. It can be at another location where there's more foot traffic. It's actually a better idea in a lot of ways to have it somewhere where there's lots of foot traffic, and then maybe point back to the museum where you can go and learn more. So that one is up to $5,000, and it does not require a match. And I will tell you, one of the things as we start tightening down, and more people are applying, even if a match is not required, it is highly encouraged to demonstrate partnerships and cost share if you can. We really encourage you to take a look at that. The next one is the local activities grant. This started out with the idea of, okay, we're going to have a parade, or we're going to have a play, or that's what it started as. It has kind of become this. There's ideas all over the place that we've heard we've never even thought about as activities that really do relate to the American Revolution in South Carolina. Marketing is one thing that really we've used this for as well. This is an 80-20 match, so 20% of the total budget, so not just your ask, but the total budget, 20% of the total budget is required, and if you can do more and demonstrate more partnerships, in-kind stuff, that's fabulous. In-kind is not allowed for our match. I know some of them are, like Humanities, I know. Ours is, in-kind's not allowed with our match required, but if you want to demonstrate that, it adds to the partnerships that we're seeing being formed, which is wonderful. The next one is our County Asset Assessment and Historic Tourism Plan. So I know Beaufort has done one of these, and we're working with some other counties. this is basically, what are those assets that half the people haven't heard of before that are in your county? Let's go dive deep into making sure we have primary sources. Are we in the right place? Is it just tradition? What can we find out about those locations? And then it's got to be partnered with, okay, we've confirmed our locations that are American Revolution related. How do we market those to the rest of the world? And so this is a 50-50 match. It can be up to $10,000 for this. And you can, the South Carolina Battleground Preservation Trust, that we'll talk some more about in a minute, is one of our statutory partners. They provide this service. If you're interested, they can get you a quote, but we do not require that you use them. They are specially kind of situated to do it, but you are not required to use them. You just need to get a quote from someone for your application. All right, research grants. So this also, I want to really distinguish between research and publication. Research grants are things that you are studying, but you're not going to have something ready for publishing at the end. So you're going to maybe take it right up to like peer review, or go through peer review, but you still need to do the layout or the map or those kinds of things. Or this could be a research project that creates a database, but isn't really like a full book. So this is more research related. We have a wonderful project right now with a gentleman who is taking a look at slave manumissions during this time period. Did the American Revolution affect how many manumissions happened during this time period? And if so, how and why? So it's going to be a really interesting project. He's going to have a spreadsheet, he's going to have a white paper, and he's going to have a teacher lesson plan that comes out of this project. So that's a really interesting one. We've got many, many others that we're excited about. Publication grants, you really need to be ready to be doing those final touches. So a lot of people apply for a publication grant, but they really need to be under the research grant. So make sure you know kind of where you are. The publication grants, again, up to $10,000. This is a change this year. We've lowered that total amount that you can apply for. But this could also be digital, both for research and publications. Keep that in mind. Some of these will be born digital. We have some publications already on our website that you can check out, and those are only digital. Some things we will be printing as well. We're very excited to be deep into the Francis Marion papers as a major project for the commission, and we're very excited to see that coming to fruition. Education grants. So this is up to $10,000. This one does not require a match. However, again, if you can provide that, that's some cost share, some commitment from other partners, that's fantastic. Particularly if you are going to be interacting with your local school district, we do encourage you to include a letter of agreement with them or a letter of support from them. So make sure you include that in your support materials. And this is one of our priorities. So we're very serious about doing these education grants and getting this funding out there. We have done, so many different things. One of our partnerships that we're very proud of is the Liberty Live group. This is the education arm of the Southern Campaigns of 1780. They're the group that puts on the big reenactment of the Battle of Camden. They have STEAM-related projects that they can come into the classroom and do. And they're just about to launch their high school level, and that's going to be DNA related. I don't know if y'all heard about the Camden reinterment of those soldiers that were found. They have done some amazing DNA work from the samples. They found out one guy's a Native American. They found out that 5 of the gentlemen were not men, they were 14. And these are regulars in the field. So there's really some interesting things that you can learn through science that tells the history story. And they're taking this example and they've created a project for a high school level class. So we're really excited to be working with them. Also, the African American Heritage Commission, we're working with them for a teacher professional development that will dive more into African Americans during the Revolution. Signage and marker grants. So one of the battles that I had never heard of until I started this job, and we have one of the gentlemen who helps to make that anniversary commemoration happen in the room with us today. Thank you for what you do. So the Battle of Utah Springs. This is a location that we're helping the Battleground Trust expand what's going to be there for interpretation. This is probably correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but I think the second most bloodiest battle in the entire Revolution. It's not. I don't think it's number one, but I think it's in the top 5. Yeah. So this was a major battle for not just for South Carolina, for the entire Revolution, and we are excited to be telling this story that hasn't been told as well as it should have in the past. So new interpretive signs. It could also be directional signs, tourism directional signs. It could be historic markers marking your 18th century roads. And this is, again, up to $10,000 and competitive. And here's the big one. Education, cultural tourism. Getting these sites ready for all the tourists and this celebration of 2026 that we know is going to be that crescendo for this anniversary. Planning, acquisition, development, and renovation. So what does that mean? That means archaeology, because you got to make sure you're in the right place. That means planning what you're going to do with the site, including a long-term maintenance plan. That can be part of this. Acquisition, actually acquiring the site. Development of that site. Right here at the Berkeley Museum, they got some of these funds for training docents. So that can be part of this. And then renovation, we do encourage renovation projects to not just be deferred maintenance. Make sure, and it can be but make sure in that you have some added value. New interpretation, better public access, those kinds of things to this type of grant. This one is an 80-20, so that means 20% of your overall project budget has to be paid by you guys. And it could really need to be more, I'll be honest. We're really looking for as much cost share as possible as we try to make sure we're spreading this love across the entire state. And you'll notice it doesn't have a cap. We have to spread this around the state. We want to make sure we're showing as much partnership as possible. And so be reasonable with your request. But if it is buying property, it may be $200,000. If you're designing a pull-off that has safe parking, has interpretation, which are kind of our 2 requirements for visitable, then it's going to cost $250,000 maybe. It depends on how involved the site preparation is. Or maybe you've got a church that has a marker or interpretation, or a school. River Bluff High School is right there where a battle took place. So it's already got a parking lot. Let's put an interpretive sign right there on the battle place, right there at the school. So take advantage of some of that low-hanging fruit. That's a project that they're discussing for Lexington County. All right. So I want to thank PRT. They have been amazing at letting us be within their online program for applications. I call it the Discover SC Web Grants. And these are the components that you will have to complete in order to make an application. Applications are not easy to fill out with grants. Grants are not easy. But the process of answering these questions, even if you, as Randy says, you're not batting 1,000 every time we're doing grants, even if you do not receive an award, your project is stronger because of the background work that you did to prepare. So keep that in mind. And I will be doing a step-by-step next week. Please register if you'd like, and then once that is completed, for those watching in the future, it will be available on our webinars page that will do an actual demo of going through this online process. So application deadlines that we have upcoming, the county organizing grants, they're non-competitive, so they can be approved anytime between now and May 7th of this year. Then we have our other grants that we'll have 2 competitive cycles this year. We had 4 last year. We're dropping back to 2. We have the first cycle is September 26th, so that's coming up. March 26th is the other cycle. Those all have to be completed by 3 p.m. Just to give me plenty of time to close everything out the day. All right, and again, we'll update these as they change going forward. And again, the how-to and demo webinar is coming up next week. You can please pre-register for that on our website if you'd like to attend. And that's on our website under the SC250 Grants tab, and then it's SC250 Webinars under that tab. And the one-on-one application support by appointment. So we've been overwhelmed with applications, so please, I'm going to try to do just Tuesdays and Thursdays for appointments, but I'll be glad to meet with anybody and do a one-on-one. And a couple tips, and I know I've got to wrap up. Again, must be between 1770 to 1783. If you already have done an application, you can clone that application, so don't start from scratch. Go ahead and show partnerships and cost share, demonstrate clear deliverables and research budgets. Think about longevity. We'd love to put assets in place for the next 50 years. And go ahead and register for that state vendor number. Any grant that you're going to get, you're going to have one of those. So go ahead and do that. And again, we'll be glad to work with you. We have Molly Fortune is our executive director. Bill Davies is our vice chair who's out in the counties doing a lot of the work on the ground. So that's kind of SC250's grants. I'm really quickly want to touch on a few other assets that you can check out. So everybody here and online, you can download the link for the Conservation Bank's annual report. This is an amazing group that does, let's say, $29 million is what I think it says back there, of saving land and conserving land in South Carolina. There is a long process for this, but they do a great job. They'll be glad to work with you. And these are great examples. As these folks have said, check out the previously approved grants. That'll really help you define what you want to do. Department of Education, they have just a couple grants available right now. Hopefully a lot of the County 250s have education school district people on their committees, but always check with them about some of their possible grants. And one of the things that I checked out on this one is other grant announcements. That first one says Open Foundation Grant Awards. And guess what I found on that page? American Battlefield Trust, which is a national organization, actually has a field trip grant program. So a lot of people have asked me about field trips. We cannot pay for every child to go to Cowpens. I wish we could. But this is a great way. They only fund about 50% of the applicants, but it is a great chance to give it a try. They are partnered with the South Carolina Battleground Preservation Trust, and we encourage you to stop right now and download the Liberty Trail app. It's in beta form right now. This app is going to allow you to have GPS from place to place, and will allow you to have virtual augmented reality, I should say, so you can actually see what it would have looked like. You can hear someone telling you the story on site. It's a really powerful app, and they're continuing to evolve that. Please go ahead and download the Liberty Trail app. National Park Service. Originally, it was only a county, it was only municipalities and governmental entities that could apply for this grant. They have semi-quintennial, that's what they're calling the 250th, and these are only available for that National Register list. However, you can get a letter from the SHPO office saying you are eligible. So leave plenty of time to go through that process. But if you have a letter saying you are eligible, included with your application, the actual application for that can be part of your project. They have the details, you have contact information for those folks, and nationally, ask them lots of questions about that. Locally, statewide here, Virginia Harness is the guru of doing the National Register, so make sure you reach out to her to talk about that process and leave plenty of time to get that done. And finally, The South Carolina State Library. If y'all have not explored this website, do it now. They have an amazing list, a searchable list for foundations. So we've got a lot of state agencies here, but they have a lot of foundations you can search for. They have one-on-one counseling on what grant out there might be best for you. They do webinars about the actual process of writing a grant and the best practices. They don't have dates yet, but they promised me they'll be up soon. So check that out. And then there are some other links there that you want to make sure that you are checking on. And that's my section. Thank you, everybody who's here. Chris is going to wrap up. Thank you, all you guys who came. Thank you.